Hi, I'm Stacey Long. I'm VP of HR at Jonas Software. So I graduated with a degree in psychology, and immediately after graduation, I started working for the Toronto District School Board. And leading up to that, I'd been working during the summers, so this was an easy transition for me to take. And I thought at the time, maybe I'll end up being a therapist for the Board of Ed, working with kids or something, who knows? Well, that's not how it worked out, as we all know. I think I really found my calling. I worked there in HR for 2 to 3 years. And then after that, I joined the Jonas team. And being part of the Jonas team at first was, I was very green. I was probably a coordinator or administrator, and really brought in to start to build out the HR function for the Jonas company. At that time, I was reporting into the owners who had already, of course, started the HR function, but left it up to me then to carry it from there. Very exciting times. We were Y2K compliant, and so that meant that with our competitors, we were winning all the time. It was really exciting for the business, and so we were growing, and that was why they really needed somebody in HR to come in and help with the recruitment. So that's where it started, and I guess when I think back on it, I was the 32nd employee that got hired at Jonas. We were in 2 verticals, largely, almost virtually all Canadian workforce. And now you fast forward to today, and here we are, we're supporting 6,000 people business across 40 different verticals or more, and in 35 different countries. So it's been really a very exciting ride. For me, there really doesn't feel like there is a typical day, and I really mean that at Jonas. And I think that's what has kept me here so long too. There's so much variety, there's so much change, there's always something new and challenging to learn. And whether I'm figuring it out on my own or with my team or through somebody else in one of our businesses or one of our sister companies, there's always that sharing of information that has really, I think, helped me to stay here too, because you're constantly learning. One of the key things, and I did mention it, but really learning, that I'm continually learning. And there's always something new. You think back on, for example, COVID and what happened in that year. It was unprecedented. It was something that my team and I had to figure out. And we didn't have all the answers, and I don't know that anybody did, but we have a great group of people that we can rely on across CSI as well, who was a great support, and we helped one another through those times. But I think in general too, if you just look at how we grow, and it's a lot of acquired growth, and with that there's all sorts of new learnings, because each business we acquire is unique and different and might be in a new geography or whatever it might be. So I think it's that learning that it really keeps it interesting for me. And it's not just limited to HR. I see this happen across our businesses, and it's really ingrained in our culture in terms of the sharing of best practices, or whether it be failures, successes. One of the other things we do very well, I think, is we host these educational events across our group in Jonas, but the other operating groups do the same, and we're always looking to invite people from the other operating groups to come and share their experiences too, and they can learn from our people. And so there is really, honestly, very much this networking of people that goes on where we do share our experiences. There's a couple of other components there, and I just want to touch on that are certainly very important to Jonas and how we operate. The buy and hold forever. I've been here 26 years and never seen a business that's been sold, for sure. And I think it's really telling when you can look across our business and see people who have come through an acquisition, be part of the Jonas family, and who are still with us 20, 30 years later. So it's really part of our secret sauce, if you will. And I think it's really comforting to those founders and the people in the business to know that they have a home with Jonas, and that their legacy, if you will, is going to continue on. And if anything, we're there to help them continue to get better and be successful. And of course, going back to this kind of ties into the autonomy and the decentralized model, where we really do believe that the people in the business, they know better than Jonas, for example, to be able to know what they need to do for their clients, their people, and their business. That one's a really hard one. There's so many that I can think of. Over the years, one of them is one of the biggest acquisitions that we did in 2021. A lot of learnings. Was really an amazing ride for that year, just getting them integrated. And then you think about COVID too. I know I've mentioned it, but that changed so much that year, and my team and I were really asked to do so much. And again, you had to kind of figure it out as you went. The other thing that really strikes me is it was such an honor to be asked to go to CSI University. This is like 20 years ago probably, but then shortly after that, I got to start our own, and I say I, but there was a number of us, and certainly Barry was a big proponent of this, that we do our own Jonas Software University. And we did that for 10 years. Now it's changed. We now do Jonas Grows, but there's all sorts of summits that happen across the group. But those summits were the ones I was involved with and really meaningful to me. I think those are just some of the achievements and the memories, but when I really stand back from it and I think about what is my fondest memory, I think it's really dealing with the people that I deal with. In each of those scenarios I've mentioned, and there's hundreds of them, it really boils down to the fantastic people that you're working with, and I think that'll be what stands out to me and stays with me forever. I think it boils down to a lot of consistency. I think about the businesses that we acquire, and again, going back to what we've talked a little bit about, they really keep their culture, their brand, their legacy continues on. And so I think we also, of course, add our own little flavor to it by injecting, what we do best. And some of that is measuring everything that they do. And I think, over time, the culture does shift a little bit, but it's still at its core the same business that it always was. I think that, again, going back to being a data-driven organization, we really support and encourage inquisitive minds. And I think if that is you, then that is certainly where you're going to have a home forever that you're going to really enjoy and continue to be able to thrive. Otherwise, I feel it's really the humility. And I really mean that when, we are a humble bunch right from the top down. And I think that also encourages people to learn. I think it's almost intrinsic to it that humble people are more willing to accept learnings from others and be open to it. And I think that also is part of what you see across our Jonas organization. And the last thing I think is, there is quite a bit of competitiveness across our organization. And you really do feel like you're part of a team, and that team, we win, we lose, but we win to lose together, and win and lose together rather. So I see that across organization, there's definitely that competitive streak in a lot of people. I think that one's really simple. It's really just seeing our growth continue. And I see that through our people. And for me, it's being able to watch the people that we've acquired or that we've hired really grow and blossom and continue their careers into leadership and beyond, and really taking on more. It doesn't always, I shouldn't say leadership, it's not always about leading a team. Sometimes it's just a different career direction, but continuing to still grow and continue their journey with Jonas. So for me, it's very rewarding. I don't think that there is anything else that's much more rewarding than seeing the people that you know continue to grow and succeed. It makes me really feel excited about our future with the talent that we have in our organization.